years ago, I bought the ranch. So I was just turning 50 then. So that means about, well, on April 9, I turned 75. So my wife always says to me, she says, Pat, you know something, you're 25 years into your 5-year plan. It's true. So, yeah, she reminds me pretty regularly. So, it's been both exciting and challenging, but I'm proud of what the team's accomplished over the 25 years. And of course, that's been with a lot of help with residents, supervisory committee, and all the help that we've had internally from you guys too. But because Doreen's not here, she's at home in Pennsylvania with her brother and 2 sisters dealing with a hospice situation with her 87-year-old dad. And we were on the phone this morning for a few minutes, and then I hung up with her. She called me back crying pretty heavily 2 minutes later and told me that the dad just passed. So after this, then obviously I'm going to head there for the funeral. But you know, it's she's been out there for about 2 weeks dealing with all that. So what I decided was, because we were going to do a cake today for the 25th anniversary, but because she's not here and because my funding has not closed yet, we decided to defer any celebration until the near future. I think the funding will be closed pretty soon, so I expect within the next 30 days we'll do something and we'll have a little celebration. Let me give you an update on the financing. Of course, the most pressing and time-consuming challenge facing us right now is completing the refinancing of the ranch. Currently, I'm working on closing a bridge loan to get the company through the rest of the year. The bridge loan I'm talking about really is separate from any HOA financing, so HOA is financed and they're fine. So it's really the financing for the development side of the company. This financing will restart the underground electric at Dorado Ranch. It will complete the sewer treatment plant, La Ventana del Mar, and it will take care of some more immediate necessities. We're still working on the larger financing with 3 different groups, and this should be the final financing that the company needs to complete all of El Dorado Ranch, La Ventana del Mar, all of our other projects, including things like the Old Misiones Hotel, which will be the Club Havana Hotel and Resort, which is about 60% completed, but it still needs, obviously, it's got a ways to go. So I'm not going to go into the particulars of the details of the 3 groups, because in the past, as I've done that, in a couple of cases, I've had people try to contact these groups and create some confusion within the funding groups. That hasn't worked out real well, but so I can just tell you that they're very active, that I'm active with them every week, every day, and we're still, I think the bridge funding will be, you know, we're 90% there. The last thing that even though we had appraisals on some of the collateral I'm going to offer them for the bridge financing, they wanted to get a more updated appraisal, because the last appraisal I gave them was from 2008, and so now we're going to have a new appraiser come out within the next couple of days, get that done, and then that's kind of the final thing they need to. They tell me that shortly after that, very soon after that, they can fund. So let me talk about the master trust transfer from HSBC to BIM, to Banco Inmobiliaria Mexicana. So 2 years ago, we started to do this transfer for people that were in the master trust areas to move their master trust from HSBC to Banco Inmobiliaria Mexicana, which we call BIM, B-I-M. We remind those of you that have completed the paperwork to transfer their HSBC master trust. If you haven't done the paperwork to transfer your master trust, please do so. If you're not sure you're in the master trust area, just check with the sales office and they can tell you whether or not you're in that area, a master trust area or not. There are two different kinds of trusts, the master trust and the individual trust. When we did all of this, we were allowed a certain number of master trust area conversions, and I think it's somewhere in the area of about 6,000, and anything over that had to go into an individual trust. So, Jesus, I don't think, is there a cost to transfer from HSBC to BIM for the master trust? There's no cost. So there's zero cost. So if you don't do it, the issue is that even though you bought everything, the land and everything, it's still in the name of the company. And I want to make sure you get it in your name. So it's not there's no expense attached to it. It's all just some paperwork to make sure you get transferred over. So please check on that. Let me speak about the individual trust with HSBC. In January, we began a process of transferring HSBC individual trust to BIM. If you have an individual trust with HSBC, you know that they're no longer in the individual trust or any trust business. And they've been difficult to deal with because the number of people in their trust department now that they're closing, there are a handful of people there, and that's it. So when somebody wants to sell their property, they've had a very difficult time trying to get things released from their individual trust, get the release done through HSBC so that you can actually complete the sale and transfer the trust to a new buyer, a new owner. So, and this is the case for all over Mexico. It's not just an El Dorado thing. This is HSBC all over the country. So our attorney, Jorge Bustamante and Jesus Olmos, have been working very hard with HSBC and them to get this transition smoothed out and with the least economic impact to the owners. HSBC has responded to the owner that the owner needs to be current in their bank fees for them to do the transfer. Once the individual trust holder is paid HSBC, the cost of transferring the trust from HSBC to BIM now, including the notary fees, is a little over the estimate of cost we have. It's a fixed cost. It's a little over $2,000. It's about $2,006 to do this transfer. Emails were sent to owners with HSBC individual trust beginning in January that included the procedural memo. If an owner wants to hire their own attorney and complete the process on their own and pay the cost incurred with the transfer, they can do that. They can do so. If you wish to remain with HSBC in their trust, well, they don't have a trust department anymore, but you can keep your trust there and still make the annual payment, and then your land will be safe and your trust will be safe. The issue will be when you go to sell that there's still going to be that issue to try and get HSBC cooperation in moving the trust. So HSBC, Jesus told me that just last week they've now completed all the paperwork, they've signed off on everything, and they say that this will make for a much smoother transition faster. So anyway, that's the trust update. The golf course, we can talk about that for a minute. Really, the golf course is in the best shape it's been in the last 6 years. So I want to thank engineer Jesus Velarde and his golf maintenance team for all their hard work. The golf course is not 100%, but I was on it a couple weeks ago, and we had a tournament here last weekend. I would say it's 75 to 80% of what it originally was, and our new financing will put it back into a 100% condition. Our 14th annual golf tournament is in October, and it's for our nonprofit, which is called the Universal Golf Foundation. The Universal Golf Foundation now has its own website, which is called sanfelipegolf.com. So you can go on the website if you want to do that and read about what the You can sign up for their tournament on the website, and you can also make donations. 100% of this charity money goes for the education and the well-being of the kids in San Felipe. The site was set up by one of our El Dorado Ranch residents, Paul Lindsay. And Paul's also every year he's been donating computer backsacks for the best selected students in the San Felipe school. So every year before we do the golf tournament, we usually have a little celebration. The kids have to write a little bit of a story about why education is important to them, and they're selected by the teachers as the better students in the different schools, and then they show up out here and we give them a new backpack and a computer backpack, etc. But Paul also has donated over $8,000 in new musical instruments for the new San Felipe student orchestra that now has over 50 active members, kids in it. So that's pretty cool. Let me give you an update on the pipe situation, the condos. But the contractors that were used by Classic Pacific used a flexible pipe system, which is widely used in the United States. The particular company that we used was a 100-year-old company they're out of Michigan, and the name of the product is called NIPCO. So this NIPCO flexible piping has had numerous leaks in our condos. We think it's a defective production run, and so we got wind of this after we finished the condos, and maybe 6, 8, 12 months later we started to have these leaks, and then they got to be numerous, and we got concerned about it. So I said to the contractor, Classic Pacific, something's wrong here, and they couldn't give me an answer. So I had my right hand, Doreen, go on the internet and start doing some research, and we found out that these guys, this particular pipe company and product, had some other lawsuits. Actually, one of them was a class action suit, which has since been settled. But anyway, in March and April of this year, NIPCO, the company lawyers, deposed me, Doreen, 4 of our company employees, the construction manager, Rich Nelson, and the original licensed plumber that did the condo project, and our expert witness. Our attorneys will now depose the NIPCO experts, and that's scheduled for May. After the depositions, we expect settlement talks to happen. If the settlement talks are unsuccessful, according to our attorney, NIPCO will probably try to file a motion to have the case dismissed, or to at least bar our expert witness from testifying. Our attorneys feel very confident that neither of these motions are going to be accepted by the court, and will most likely go to trial if that happens. That we have a very strong case. The expert witness, I can tell you this case is strong enough that the attorneys took it on a contingency for me. So we're not paying all the attorney fees, and believe me, they're getting numerous, because they hired an expert witness, and this particular lady spent 2 weeks here, and she's got a doctorate degree in preliminaries, polys, and polyurethane stuff, and which this pipe is, and she's already been up against these guys once before, and she's not walked away empty-handed. She's actually she's a very strong expert. So everything is going well with that. Our intention is to get a settlement and to come back in and to redo the condo pipe. And I've got a plan to do that, and I'm hoping we get the size settlement we need to do. The company, we're not looking to try and profit off of this thing, although the judge has already said that will be, that he will accept additional remuneration in this case because of the amount of hardship it's caused. So I'm thinking that these guys will probably get serious about trying to make a settlement, but we'll see. Let me talk about the recent condo fire. Within the last couple of weeks, we had another condo fire on unit number 4. A Mexican national professional who we know actually bought this unit recently, and he let his friend use it over Easter weekend or Easter week. The same thing that has happened in the past happened again. The families that were using the condo, I think it was 2 couples, used the grill. They put charcoal and lighter fluid in a propane gas grill and created the fire. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, and it was contained pretty quickly. In the case of this particular condo owner, he came here the next week to apologize for what happened and to tell us that he will be responsible for fully rebuilding the condo, do all the repair work at his own expense without involving the HOA insurance, which is very fortunate. And we know this person, we've done it for years. So I was very happy that he was willing and able to do that. After the last condo fire, we were notified by the Mexican, this is the one before that incident happened over Easter weekend. We had a fire a couple of months before that, but after that fire, we were notified by the Mexicali Fire Department that we had to relocate or remove all the barbecues in the units number 3 and unit number 4. 1 and 2 are okay, but 3 and 4 are against a common wall, and so those had to be moved. So in our 2009, because of the fires, in our 2019 insurance policy, it went up, the cost went up 10% in the premium, and there's a 20% deductible with a 20% co-insurance. So if we do have another fire claim without relocating these units, the 3 and 4 barbecue units, 3 and 4 unit barbecues, then the insurance company told us we're going to get canceled. So that's a big issue. So we're working with the insurance company to reduce the cost to a 5% increase in premium and a 5% deductible and a 5% co-insured if we get the barbecues relocated in units number 3 and 4. So we've notified all the 3 and 4 unit owners with this new requirement, and we're in the process of the conversions. When the units were designed by a U.S. award-winning architect, they were designed to a California code that allowed them to be placed on a common wall. And in researching all of this in 2014, even in California, the California code changed to the modifications that we're having to follow right now. They're not allowed to put any barbecue unit next to a common wall in a condominium. So, when the insurance company first notified us of the requirement to move the barbecues in plans 3 and 4, we notified the property management companies, and in some cases the barbecues were removed without a notification to the owner. So we apologize for those of you that, if any are here, that we moved the unit without you first being notified, but it was a quick reaction by the insurance company. Normally things don't happen that quickly in Mexico, but in this case, we felt that the actions that were taken were necessary in the best interest of the condo owners. So if you're in a plan 3 or 4 and you've been notified, then to resolve everything, the instructions have been to contact the TRC committee by emailing Ricardo Montano at trc@eldoradoranch.com.mex, or stop by the Eldorado Ranch TRC offices, which are up on Highway 5 in our administration building, to begin the process. TRC has the designs and the cost for each of the condo plans of 3 and 4, and if you have your own contractor perform the work, then they have to apply to the TRC anyway, so we know the work's being done, and they need to get a copy of the approved plan for the relocation. And if they do this without going through if it's put in the wrong place, the TRC is going to come back and say to the owner, you put it in the wrong place, you're going to have to go through the expense of relocating to where it needs to be. So I don't expect we'll have that kind of an issue, but we are on that, and it is serious, and we do need to get these units modified. We're underway getting that done. Let me just mention for a minute Telnor Internet Service. I was happy this morning to hear that the service is back on, the internet service. But last week, Telnor had a system failure both in Mexicali and San Felipe. I guess in San Felipe and here at Dorado, we have three major areas that they have internet service, provide internet service to us. Two of the areas were fine, only one area was affected. But now they're back up and running. As of yesterday, I was told it would be a couple more days before they're up and running, but actually they got it up and running yesterday. If you have Telnor complaints, then they have a service number, which is 050. And so if you call them on 050, Jesus talked to Carlos, who's our main contact at Telnor, and he says, have your people call 050. It's a 24-hour service where we have live people and they can register a complaint, or if they need to, by going directly to 050. We had some comments that people had tried to get a hold of Telnor and they were non-responsive. They couldn't get through to them. Who says we'll use this 050 number. The other thing is that when we originally did this wireless system, Telnor granted us 1,000 lines, and there's no more line service available through Telnor for either internet or telephone. So most people didn't sign up for their phone service because everybody's using cell phones, but definitely you need them for internet. But now, since they're not offering more service, anybody that wants internet service now at the ranch, we're referring them to this Lynx company, LYNX, that now is located over at Camp Perla. I think they're working out of a trailer and for an office, and they're next to the La Ventana del Mar main entryway. So it's a nice young guy, and he's been here now for about 2 years. So you can get internet, high-speed internet service from them. Sorry about that. Anyway, Baja Medical Center. Last week on April, I think it was last week, April 24, 25, 26, Baja Medical did a free ultrasound carotid artery service here at the ranch. They saw a total of 48 patients, and the patients were scanned by an ultrasound specialist that they brought down, a lady by the name of Linda Noor. She did the training with our radiology tech guy, Anhill, and that went very well. Of the checks they did, 15 of the patients had no signs of any plaque buildup. 33 patients were told that they would be called by our office, by the VMC office, to have a follow-up and a discussion with one of our doctors. That follow-up visit will cost the patient $10. And of the 33 patients, 13 of them were found to have some sort of serious medical issues, and 5 of them were told to see a physician in the United States right away with a pretty serious plaque buildup. So I'd like to, thank Baja Medical for the free service. I think this was a little bit of an eye-opener for us. I recently had it done myself in the United States. Unfortunately, don't have any plaque buildup. I don't know why, but I don't have any. But what we're trying to, Baja Medical now is we're trying to get this kid Anhill trained up well enough where he can go ahead and do it, and we can then email the result, the picture up to a tech person, a radiologist up in the U.S., so we can get a reading back right away whether or not that individual has any plaque buildup. So, but I was happy that they did the service and happy we got the results. It's kind of an indicator that we all need to do that as we get a little older. Let me comment on the Vaquita Marina and the fisherman update. As most of you know that live here permanently, there was a confrontation with the Mexican Marines and some alleged fishing Tuatla poachers that happened here in San Felipe on March 28 this year, 2019. There was a shooting incident as a result, and it was the most violent conflict running that we've had in the long-running fight with gill netting for the endangered Tuatla fish, which also has pushed the tiny Vaquita porpoise to the verge of extinction because it's an unwanted bycatch as a result of the nets. As a result, the shooting incident incited a violent protest in front of the Mexican naval base in San Felipe. The Secretary of the Navy told the media the vehicle and 2 small boats were set on fire by Molotov cocktails. The fishermen also burned down the Profepa buildings at the marina. The Profepa is part of the Mexican Federal Environmental Agency. And additionally, the fishermen and what we refer to as the bocheros, the guys who want the fish bladder, were armed and forced their way into a storage area that we own, that Dorado owns, to confiscate 1,000 nets that have been collected over the last couple of years by the Sea Shepherd. And so, at Profepa's request, at the federal government request, we were storing these nets for them in a El Dorado storage yard. So the protesters and the fishermen argued that they and the injured suspects were not poachers. Prior to this incident, there was also an attack by the fishermen on the Sea Shepherd boat at sea in the Sea of Cortez. It was on video. Earlier this week, the Sea Shepherd, which is an international entity that just protects endangered species in major bodies of water, seas, oceans. They brought a 3rd ship in here called the White Holly, and it arrived in here a week ago. It's joined now by the 2 other Sea Shepherd ships that are here, which one's called the Farley Mowat, and the other one's called the Sharpie. These ships are 110 feet and have a staff of about 30 people per ship. This is all done, these are what they call NGOs, or non-government organizations, that around the world protect endangered species. They have nothing to do with the Mexican federal government. They're an international entity trying to protect what they know is going on, which is totally illegal out here, which is the capturing of this Tuatla to take the bladder out of it, called the buchi, and sell it into the black market in China, where it's looked to be as a medical, an aphrodisiac, and blah, blah, blah. And they sell it out of here more or less for $5,000 a kilo. By the time it gets to China, it's at $25,000 a kilo. It's now referred to as sea cocaine. It's got a very high market price on it in the black market. And the Mexican government has made efforts to try and shut it down. But since there's been no repercussions by the Mexican authority against the violent and criminal and dangerous act of the fishermen, this last incident, they continue to use the permanently banned gill nets for illegal fishing of the Tuatla, to sell into the black market, to sell the fish bladder, but buchi into the black market. It still continues. And it's widely known, and it's been pointed out by the media, that the money involved in this bullshit trafficking is sufficient corruption money to pay off all the authorities that they need to pay off to have them stand up and not take strong enough actions to shut what's going on illegally out there down. We're hoping with the new president, this guy Lopez Obrador, that he's got a countrywide fight against corruption. That's his #1 goal. And we're hopeful that the government finds a real solution for the problem before we have any more violent incidents. We know that the federal government is very aware of all this, and I can't believe that the Sea Shepherd just didn't pull out of here by now, but actually they're standing to the fight, so they brought another ship in. The way they capture these nets is they drag the upper Sea of Cortez with heavy pieces of metal, like giant hooks, to try and hook these nets, and then winch them in. And once they get the nets in, sometimes these nets will go, they're expensive to build, and they have nets out there that run 1,000 feet. And the poor fish, the gill netting is made of silk, tightly wound silk, and the fish really, it's a ghost net to them. They can't see it. Once they get caught in it, they can't get out. So that's what's killing the Waikita, and that's what the guys use to capture the Tatuago. Anyway, let me give you an update on the Spaniards. The company name is in Verabante. About 7 years ago, they bought a big piece of property from us, or part of our South Beach, which was 1,208 hectares, and with the purpose of building about $1 billion resort. So they've got permits to drill 29 wells from the ConAgua, the Federal Water Authority. They've done some well drilling down there for water, but they're still in discussions with the Baja State government regarding water sewage treatment in the San Felipe International Airport. The International Airport needs a runway expansion to bring in larger commercial aircraft, which they're going to need to support their $1 billion resort investment. Additionally, and probably the biggest unresolved factor for them right now is with CFE, the Federal Electric Authority. In Verabante originally requested 40 megawatts of power. CFE said that they could only guarantee them 6 megawatts. So Verabante is planning a 40 megawatt solar farm, and right now the discussions are to the transmission lines to transmit the energy are about $1 million a mile. So that's another big issue. They're trying to see if the federal government will participate in any of that expense with them to get their infrastructure put together. So even though that they've spent between $25 and $35 million in land and engineering, architectural, and permitting, I really don't expect to see them do a groundbreaking until they get these infrastructure issues resolved. Did Steve Kimmy get here? No? Okay. Well, I'd like to thank the Supervisory Committee led by President Steve Kimmy, the EDR committee members Ed Jones and Dick Peterson, the La Ventana del Mar committee members Dennis Lavin and Hans Wilschut, and the Las Villas committee members Martha Rezak and Gary Lambert. This group works very hard every month at our monthly meetings to make sure the HOA is operating economically and on budget and in the best interest of the owners. They do a great job. I'd also like to thank the HOA staff led by Roberto Islas and the Dorado development staff led by Jesus Olmos. And of course my wife Doreen for all of her administrative support and assistance. And if you are inclined to do so, just offer a little prayer for her and her family. It's a little bit of a tough time they're going through, and I'm going to go out there after this meeting for the burial service in Pennsylvania. So appreciate you guys all being here. Those are all my comments. so I can open the floor for any questions. And please go to the microphone to ask the question. I appreciate it. And thank you, Denise, for taking the minutes. She's filling in for Dorado.
Between the damage they've caused us on the golf course, the damage they've caused us in other areas, the mental drama that they've caused some of our owners and with some confrontations, etc. So I'm going to definitely change a good amount of what we're doing. I mean, I'm to the point of even thinking we might, stop renting any condos in here. So that's how strong I feel about it. I know I'll have some pushback on that for people that did buy condos for the purpose of using them as rental. units or investment, but seriously, I've had it up to my neckline like you guys have with some of the ramifications of it, so, yes.
Hi, I'm Cindy Cousins, and I was just wondering why the increase at the flea market for their stalls. It's like a skeleton now. A lot of people aren't coming to sell because of the price increase from 30 pesos to 100 pesos, which is a big jump for them.
Well, we've never, the fees are very nominal, and actually our activities department manages that. The fees actually stay in the activities area. They do not go to the company or anything else. I think it's a nominal amount of money. 100 pesos to have a booth over there, it's $5. But for some of the vendors, that if that's too much for them, then, I can ask our people to talk to the vendors, or ask the activities department who runs that every week to get a survey going over there. Of course, everybody's going to say, well, we'd rather pay 30 than 100, but we'll look at it. The activities department did run it by me before they did it, and I figured, well, for them to have a little bit more money in their activities department to do all the activities they do, I didn't think it was that big a deal. So I said, well, if you guys think that you can go ahead and do that, go ahead. So I did know about it. It was not something I didn't know about. So, yes.
My name's Tom Casey. My wife and I, we haven't been here for 10 years, so we're kind of different than the rest of you. We bought in '07, and of course, we know all the hardship that happened right after that, and it hit us pretty hard in the U.S. as well. So we haven't been able to realize our dream down here. But the question I have for you, because it's very encouraging to hear about the financing coming and starting it back up, is there a U.S. realty representative up in Arizona now that's going to be marketing in as like Rich Byron and Armac did before?
Tom, I do have a whole marketing plan laid out. Obviously, I'm really not going to announce that or anything until we get the financing in place. The intention is definitely to go back into Arizona and to go back into California and probably even go into Nevada. So I do have I've had a lot of worries to deal with, a lot of stress to deal with. A lot of mornings I'm up at 3 o'clock and I can't go back to sleep. So I work on things. So I've worked the whole plan out for, I think, the ranch and my vision of the ranch in San Felipe for probably the next 10 years. But yeah, we're definitely going to go back into once we get the financing in place, we will go back to heavy marketing. I have no intentions right now of using Armac. That proposition got to be way too expensive for us. But I do have a number of realtors that did enjoy working with us as independent agents, and I regularly get questions about whether or not when we start back up, if it's still going to be an opportunity for them. So if you're in that business, if you have any interest in it, if you'd give me some of your information, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, happy belated birthday, Matt. Congratulations again on 25 years. A couple of questions, if I may, kind of put three of them together, and you can answer it as a group. On this bridge loan, assuming you get it, there's either going to be payments to be made or there's going to be a lump sum at the time that you get funding. So the question one would be, what if funding does not come through? How do you plan on honoring that bridge loan? Number two, you mentioned you wanted part of the money from the major lender, the investors that you may or may not get. You mentioned that would be to finish El Dorado Ranch. bridge loan would be to finish electric and so forth. So I'm curious what finish El Dorado Ranch means. It's what things other than the electric and sewage and all that the bridge loan would be covering. So what beyond that would you be planning? And lastly, this question's in everybody's mind, I'm sure, but we're appreciative to know that there's still potential funding coming. But it leaves in the air what happened to the previous sure thing, deal, and maybe a little more detail on what happened there. Is it still, in the offing, or it fell through, and if so, potentially what fell through? And then lastly, you mentioned there was no cost to changing your from the master trust into the new trust. Do you have any idea what the cost is of changing for those people who have a Vedic Miso currently, changing it over to the new bank?
That cost for us is at $2,006.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So the bridge loan is a short-term loan, and yes, we will repay it. The repayment, it's an interest-only deal, and then I have to pay the lump sum off. With the bridge loan, it's substantial enough for us to I want to get shovels in the ground so we can get things moving again here, and so people can see that things are getting finished, and then it will give me enough money to start some marketing again. So as we start marketing and start selling again, we'll be able to generate some income to start. The first priority will be to service that bridge loan. What I expect to happen before the bridge loan is due is I expect to have one of the larger funding entities in place that will take the bridge loan out. And so that's been discussed with them. Actually, the people that are bringing me the bridge loan are one of the other three groups, and that group already has a plan for the bigger funding and it was kind of their idea to get me to take the bridge loan because they knew that their bigger funding was going to take at least 45, 60, maybe 90 days. So their whole deal was, let's get a bridge loan in place, get you back up and running, and then right behind that, we're still concurrently with that. At the same time, we're working on the bigger funding. We've already started doing that. And actually, they tell me they've even got a pre-approval. So that's the plan. The plan is to take the bridge out with one of the larger funding groups that does close with us. We're not exclusive with any of the three groups. At one point, we were exclusive with one of the groups, but that exclusivity went away when they failed to be able to close on numerous occasions, numerous dates. The other two groups, believe it or not, are still there. And I've got $25 million promissory notes from both of them. Now, the notes are sitting in escrow accounts, and I'm still talking with both of those groups, the Summer group and the Drake group. But, and I've told them I'm doing the bridge loan, and I'm going to use some of my collateral to support the bridge. And I told them, obviously none of this would be necessary if you guys close a deal that you want to do. And so they're still there. I've had correspondence with both of them as recently as yesterday, and they know I'm here today with this meeting. I reminded Mark Day that he was here with me a year ago and told everybody that this whole deal would close within 6 or 8 weeks. Now a year later, it's not closed. But those guys are still there, and they're both still, writing me, emailing. I actually talked to Mark personally a week ago when I was coming back down here when I first dropped Doreen off to go home. So he tells me that they're still, working to get it finished. So I'm confident level-wise. I'm going to say with the two of those groups, I'm like 50-50. The other group that I'm working with, I feel a little bit stronger with those guys about their U.S. group, about their ability to perform. So, you know, I'm going to work at it till it gets done, Ross. I mean, and yeah, there is an end date. You know, there's a D-Day. So obviously, the bridge loan will be able to get us back up and running and get a lot of the things that we have to finish, get them finished. And at least, like I say, it gets shovels back in the ground. It gets me back into a marketing mode. And this time around, I'm going to do most of that stuff hands-on myself with the sales and marketing teams. So, like I did years ago. I've got a good administrative staff in hand. We've kind of crunched our overhead down so that we're, you know, our cash flow needs are, you know, as low as they've ever been. And no more Denver office and no more big office in Mexicali and so on and so forth. So we reduced a lot of overhead, and we're going to stay lean until we get things back up and running. Well, I'd like this just to stay lean forever, so eventually I can get a retirement date. So, but anyway, but we have a plan. I mean, and as soon as that does happen, we will have a little 25-year celebration, and you guys will all be invited. We'll probably do it out here on the lawn, and I'll kind of give you another update as where we are with the financing stuff.
Yes, how are you? My name is David, and I've been in Dorado for 4 years now. I love it here. My family loves it too. And congratulations on 25 years. Sorry about your wife's loss. I just wanted to make a suggestion. You know, I hear about marketing, and that's great. And I love all the updates. I have an online marketing agency in San Diego, and I have an office in Tijuana too. And I'll just give you this observation. The website that we have now in El Dorado is your lowest hanging fruit for marketing and even for looking for an investor. Because right now the site, as you know, is very outdated and very old. Making a brand new website that showcases all the good stuff that Dorado offers today will do wonders, not only for, you know, everything else, but also for investors. Because that's one of the things that they look at, you know, to see what's going on. And I think with the beauty that we have here and all the stuff going on, it will be very easy to revamp that. And I'm not, you know, trying to sell my service at all. I'm just giving that observation that putting a little bit of effort there will pan out, you know, big time.
I totally agree with you, and you did sell your service very well. I'll give you a card when we finish the meeting here, and you can give me yours.
Sure.
I take it, and I believe me, part of it is these times I've got every page off the website. I've already kind of rewritten in my version of it, a lot of it, to get a lot of the redundancy out of it. But I would be happy to, you know, get a proposal from you, give you the work that I've done, let you take those ideas and come back to me with something. That'd be great. You're absolutely right. The website is ancient. I mean, it's not 25 years old, but it's damn near 25 years old.
Yeah, and I would love to, you know, have a talk with you and give you a lot of ideas, you know, that I'm sure you know already. But that, in a few weeks, it will be 90 days.
All right, let's talk for a minute after. Yeah. Yes.
Martha Rezac, just a clarification for the purposes of our minutes today. I believe you said that the most recent fire was in a number 4 unit. It was building 24, but the fire initiated in the number 3 unit. So for the minutes, just to clarify, thank you.
That's all right. Thank you, Martha. I didn't know that. I thought it was a 4 unit, but if it's a 3 unit, thank you for clarifying that.
Jim Sutton, thank you, Pat, for your diligence. I love it here. Everybody always complains, so I just want to say some good things. Thank you for reconsidering rentals in the quads. I've CC'd you in my email. I'm not a happy person on that. However, golf course is looking awesome. The guy showed up to do my roof when they said within a few days. The food in the pavilion now is just incredible. I didn't eat here for years because it was bad. It's just doing great. And I want to thank our activities guys. These guys work so hard to provide us with things to do here instead of just sitting at home. If it wasn't for them, I'd be watching TV all day. Thank you guys.
you sit in my seat, you know, you kind of see one picture. When some of it, if you really stand back and look at it, there still are a lot of very healthy, good things going on here. And I'm happy with that. Thank God we do have that. It has been very tough 10 years. I mean, it's been a hell of a 10 years. So we'll get through this. I think we're strong enough to get through it. And we just have to persevere and get it there. You know, so I hope I'll be corresponding with you guys quick and soon to tell you the bridge loan's in place and we're moving forward with the bigger loan. So once we get that done, then, you know, I'll be a much happier guy too.
Sorry, I got one more. Okay, came up. You're obviously got to leave, you know, after this meeting and so forth, but sometime in the next few weeks when you get back, prior to making a final decision on the rental and the you know, ATVs and all that stuff, if you can convene a meeting to get other input, so that, I mean, ultimately you have to make the decision, and perhaps the HOA has to vote on something, but I think there's many people here, myself included, that would have different ideas short of, you know, totally eliminating rentals, because I think that is an income source and an activity source that the ranch needs. And so I'd just like an opportunity to put in that input. I know there's lots of other people who like to do that. And there's other subjects, I'm sure, that in one meeting dedicated strictly to issues that you can deal with and that issues individuals have, to have time to get those things out rather than a group meeting like this. I think maybe an hour or two would be well worth your time.
Yeah, Ross, we'll capture that in a minute, so, and thanks. Yeah, I'm going to try and remain open-minded about it. It's just that, you know, it's really frustrating, especially, and you know, it's nerve-wracking. I mean, when we get to the point of possibly losing an insurance carrier over this. I'll get that kind of a meeting together. We'll get some of the condo owners that are very involved. We'll get, you know, we'll kind of, you know, get a number of people around the table and we'll maybe break it into, if we not have too many people, we may break it into smaller groups and have group sessions, and then the group leader can come and give the general comments from each table so that we can get something done with a reasonable format so it's looked at and not just, you know, dictated. I'm not saying that we'll do that. We'll take a good look at it. I appreciate the idea.
Hi, Dirk Sutton. Just a quick question. You just mentioned that we had to get authority or review from the TRC before we make any modifications to the barbecue. About 2 years ago, I know I've got common sense, I realized the barbecue was a problem, so I went ahead and removed it, snuggled the balls, put a slab down, it's gone. I threw it away. So just want to make sure that after the fact, TRC is not going to come back and say, where's your review? It's gone. We didn't relocate it, we got rid of it.
Yeah, well, no, you're a perfect example of something that, well, you took some action on your own, I appreciate it. That's what we were going to do anyway, so you're totally in compliance.
Beautiful. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
And I concur with what Janice said. There are some really good stuff going on the ranch. You just got to look through the foggy days and realize that there's really no bad days here. It's what you make out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Pat, this is Robert Yu. We've chatted a couple of times, and thank you for sending me down here. My wife and I are having a great time here, and like the previous gentleman, I came here about 10 years ago, fell in love with it, and things kind of didn't happen, but coming back here, I still see the potential of this place, and I'm very encouraged that you did the bridge loan, and I think that you put some of those dollars back into marketing and sales. You're going to jumpstart this place, and it's going to happen. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, Robert, thank you very much for coming. I know we've communicated, and Robert and his wife are one of the condo owners that we have failed to complete the condo for that had paid for their unit. So he's one of the people that are on my condo refund list, an obligation that I have. So I'm glad you're here. We'll get a chance to visit after the meeting. I do have to get, Doreen told me to give her a couple of hours to get through what she's going through right now, and she'll start working on my transportation program to get out there. But I will have time after this to sit with you for an hour or whatever. So appreciate you coming down. Thank you. Well, guys, thank you very much. Again, a few prayers would be appreciated for Doreen and her family. And God bless all you guys. Stay healthy. Have a good weekend, and appreciate your support. Thank you.